Hi and welcome to Slick Willy Fly. Today what we're going to do is part 2 of our epoxy or UV resin eyes. So in part 1 I made a fly very similar to this baitfish fly, and you can see that I have a UV resin head and the eyes are all kind of built into this UV resin head. It's a great fly. This is super durable, and it's a type of epoxy resin eye that I use very much. Here's a flat wing with the same kind of eyes. Here's another craft fur baitfish where I made in the same kind of eyes, and you see that I do this in a lot of different sizes, and the size really doesn't matter and the color of the eyes really doesn't matter. But for this video I've tied this well, it's actually not EP, but it's like an EP fiber. It's very similar to this fly, and just different size hooks is the only difference here. I went with a bigger hook just because I think it will be easier to show in the video. And basically it's another form of using eyes with UV resin, and how I do this so that they're pretty tough, because one of the things that's really important to me is I don't want my eyes to pop off on the first really great bite. So I hope you're enjoying a cocktail with me. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And real quick, this isn't about the fly, but this is a baitfish. And instead of using traditional baitfish EP fibers, what I did was I used this sculpting flash fiber, and I've got it in 2 colors. The bottom that I use is this natural belly, it's called. It's very nice. It's in the whitish kind of colors. And then for the top I used, it's called camo, and it's just in the tans, and it's a great color. You know, I like my baitfish to be a little darker on top, a little light on the bottom. Sometimes I use cream. I can do grays. I can do, oh, there's a ton of colors, even all the way to black actually. But what I'll do is I'll put a link in the description to a previous video that I made where I made this exact same fly. So if you're interested in how I make this fly, I'll put a link in the video. For the body I use, just because sometimes the body shows, I use this little flat braid in gold. And for thread, when I made this, I used monofilament Vivas thread. So that's pretty much all the materials I used. But that's not really the point of this video. The point of this video is to place the eyes. So for eyes, I'm going to use these 5mm red 3D epoxy eyes, a little bit of UV resin, a little bit of super glue, and it's super simple, very durable. And I say that we change the camera angle and let's tie this thing. Let's I shouldn't say tie this thing, we're not going to make a fly. Let's attach some eyes. Okay, so we're going to use these red 3D epoxy eyes. And a lot of times these eyes have, they come with a little bit of adhesive on them, and very often the adhesive is enough. But just to make sure for this particular video, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put 1 drop of super glue. Now I use the hook shank as a guide and the eye of the hook as a reference point. And this super glue is gel. It's not like liquid, so I'm just going to do 1 little drop right where the eye more or less will sit. It's not always necessary, but I figure for this video, why not just be sure that the eye is going to sit in the right spot. Now, one thing that I like to do is I like to limit how much I use my fingers, because I tend to make a mess when I use my fingers too much. And as you can see, I've used the hook shank as a guide and a certain distance from the eye. And what that does is it makes it fairly simple for me to repeat that process on the opposite side. So I'm just gonna again put a little bit of super glue in that area where I know the eye is gonna sit. I use a needle. Probably should get a better needle. I'm gonna use a needle to just grab an eye and place that eye on that gel that we just used. Just like that. Perfect. Very happy with the way that turned out. So the super glue by itself is pretty tough, but it's not really bulletproof. So the only way that I know to make this bulletproof is to use a little bit of UV resin. I'm not going to really use a thick, I'm not going to really use a thin. It's kind of the original viscosity. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a drop literally right on the eye itself. Just like that. And then I'm going to use my needle. And I tend to have a needle that's really just for UV resin. And I'm going to work that drop onto the fibers surrounding the eye. Sometimes I have to put a little bit more just to make sure. And again, I'm just going to work it off the eye very carefully. And once I feel like I have enough, I think I want just a little more. But once I think I have enough, and I do now for sure have enough, then I just take my lamp and I zap it. And now that eye is pretty bulletproof. And really all I'm trying to do is, you know, I'm hoping to get some great vicious strikes, and I just don't want the eyes to pop off on the first strike. You know, this sculpting flash fiber, it's really quite durable. You know, same with the EP. There's a lot of fibers that you can use to make these baitfish flies, and they're very durable. So you really want the eyes to also be durable. And you want to have a good time while you're doing this, so you can have a sip of your cocktail. And like I've said a bunch of times, you know, they say 5 or 6 seconds is enough, but I'm not like selling flies. So for me to spend a little extra time with my light, it's no big deal. So I just repeat the process on the opposite side. Making sure that the resin comes off the eye and onto the material. You can always add a little bit more resin. And once you're happy with that, and I am, you just zap it. And that's pretty much all there is to putting eyes on these baitfish flies, these EP baitfish flies. So I hope this video helps. I hope you have some great luck fishing these kind of flies and get some vicious strikes and get multiple fish on the same fly, because that's the whole point. You know, I want to make flies that are, of course they get bites, that are reasonably inexpensive to tie and quick to tie, but they have to last. If they don't last, they're not really slick witty flies. So it's kind of important to me. All right, so we're back. So there's part 2 of my how to put eyes on a fly series. So now you've seen both type of UV resin eyes that I make. Both are great. It's just, you know, 2 different type of flies. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you're having a cocktail with me. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And thank you for watching. Good luck catching, and see you on the next video.